Thank you, Tito. Have a good work. Thank you for the 3 biddies. And thank you, K-chan, for the donation. And hello, Kinyo and Mew. Was that everybody? Yeah, that was everything. So I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want to hear first? Do you mean the little froggy? Is that the cutie you're talking about, Mew? That's totally the cutie you're talking about, right? Okay. Bad news is my sandwich is still sitting here uneaten because I forgot to eat it before starting because I got distracted. But I ate the other half at work. But I forgot to eat this half before. I don't want to eat it right now. I gotta read, and that's gonna make it hard to read if my hands get all greasy and I have food in my mouth. That sounds disgusting. Who likes eating ASMR? I already ate half of it. I just was planning on eating the other half before starting stream, but I got distracted. Yeah, I'm just gonna like put the mic in my mouth while I'm eating the sandwich at the same time. And just eat the mic as well, I guess. How would that sound? I'll eat the sandwich after stream, after we read. Like I said, I already ate half of it. I just was planning on eating the other half before stream and forgot. Brandon! Hello, Brandon. I mean, it is pink, so maybe it's strawberry flavored, the microphone. Okay, that's the good news. I just did a like complete factory reset and it seems to be fine now. So I finished doing that, which is why I got distracted and didn't eat my sandwich. So now I just gotta like reinstall shit on it and hope nothing fucks it up. Why don't you come find out, K-chan? Come take a bite and tell me what I taste like. So yes, hopefully I believe the computer is fine now. Okay, you can have a lick instead then, Mew. Just tell me what I taste like. That works too. Are all 3 of you coming at once? Because if all 3 of those things are happening at once, I don't know how to feel about that. I taste like a cookie. Tito is probably not listening now that he's lurking, but he was asking me the other day if I was made of cake. So apparently I taste like cake. I mean, if you want me to. Who are you inviting over your house, Brandon? I'm confused by your message. I missed the context of your message because there's too many other messages going on. You want me to do a poll? Okay, K-chan, do you know how to do a poll? Or Mew? I forgot Mew's a mod too. K-chan or Mew, do a poll for what I taste like, apparently. I don't know. I guess Cookie. Well, Cookie was really the only thing anyone said, other than sweet. I don't know. Figure out the options yourself. Because Brandon's the one who, you know, wanted to make a poll. So ask Brandon. Brandon, what should the options be? Since you're suggesting the poll. There's plenty of other things to use your channel points on. Why is my phone blowing up all of a sudden? Okay. Yeah, you just type /poll and hit enter, and then it pops up a menu to make a poll. If you say so, Brandon. Meow. Thank you, Mew. Is K-chan doing the poll, or is Mew doing the poll? I just hydrated, but fine. Well, thank you, Mew. For some reason, my water bottle peed all over me when I took that drink. K-chan, did you figure it out? I don't know what the options are. Think of some options, K-chan. I know one of the options was cookie. Or sugar cookie if you want to be specific. And that's fine, Mew. Sometimes it's good to take things slow. Kenyo, thank you for the donation to the Trevor project. Very nice number. Yes, very nice. It's nice twice, Mew. So it's very nice. Okay, what options did you put? Sweet, cook. Oh yeah, I forgot strawberry was an option that was said. Gay. Oh wow, really? It wouldn't let you type out gay. Wow. Twitch being homophobic. Okay, so there's a poll going on, thanks to Brandon, of what do I taste like, if you want to vote in it. Fuck the community guidelines. That's rude that gay is against the community guidelines. That's rude. I'm sorry, Brandon. K-chan probably didn't know how to let you rig it. Well, this poll is not going to have a definite answer, is it? Y'all really gonna just tie up the poll? I taste like all of the above. Oh, well shit. Well, it is looking that way right now, isn't it? Is that a threat or a promise, Mew? Just yes. Both, Mew. I want it to be both. Yeah, it's gonna be bottom on bottom. Okay, well, I guess I just taste like sweet gay strawberry cookies. That's what I taste like. Okay, Kenyo. If Mew's okay with that, I'm okay with it as well. I think it's add... Well, actually, I'm not sure. I don't think you can do it, Kenyo, actually. I think it's mod only. Yo, I just noticed. Seven? Do I have 7? I have 8 quotes? Link! Hello, Link. Also, I just made Kenyo and Brandon VIPs because they weren't for some reason. Link! You missed the poll. Brandon wanted a poll of what I taste like, and apparently it's now quote 8. I don't hate you, I'm just stupid? When did I say that, and when was that added? I need some bone wood. Give me your bones. I do remember saying give me your bones. Okay, I remember that one. Pyro did that one. Apparently not, Link. Apparently I do not taste like dino nuggies. I apparently taste like sweet gay strawberry cookies. Not dino nuggies. Good. How have you been, Link? You've been gone way too long. I worked all weekend, Link. That's how it was. Oh, you think I taste like pepperoni pizza? Guys, what chapter were we on? Because I just dropped the book. And the bookmark fell out. So... I don't know where we're at now. I smell like pepperoni pizza? Probably. I hope not, though. We weren't halfway. I think we're on like chapter 10. Pretty sure 10 is what we need to read next. Oh, how did pages of the book get wet? How did that happen? Of course you are, Kate-chan. You're always eating pizza. Come? Why did you say come? Yeah, exactly, Pyro. We're gonna have to start completely over because I don't remember where we're at. Oh, why the pages are wet. Well, they're not sticky. They're just wet. It's water. I apparently spilt water on the book when the water bottle dripped on me. Okay, yes, we are on chapter 10. Chapter 10 is the next chapter we need to read. We'll try not to drop the book again. Yes, hello, Pyro. I'm not starting over, Link. That's too much to do. I'm rushing. Don't talk to me? What? Yeah, that's what I did, K-chan. We're on chapter 10. That's how I figured out where we were. Guys, I'm not starting over the book. That's too much. If you don't want spoilers, then I guess leave or mute or something. I'm not starting a new book. We haven't even finished this one, Link. Alright, so we are on chapter 10, which is in Aurelian's point of view, apparently. No, we're not going to read Captain Underpants. I honestly didn't care for those books. I only liked them because I liked looking at the pictures that you could flip back and forth to make an animation. But I didn't like the book at all. I just want to protect someone the way no one wants to protect me. There were times Aurelian almost hated Vahan for not being able to see through an act that kept him up at night out of fear the prince would do just that. There were times he wanted to take him by the shoulders, shake him, yell at him, ask him how he could think so little of their friendship that it had been that easy to convince him it was over. I just want to protect someone the way no one wants to protect me. Until recently, Aurelian's moments of weakness could always be quelled by way of the simple reminder that Vahan would want to know why all his pretense had been necessary, and Aurelian would never tell him the truth. He couldn't shatter that last bit of innocence the prince so desperately clung to. The hope that despite whatever else Riadne was, she was still a mother who loved her son. Aurelian never knew what was worse when he played this scenario through in his head, that the prince might send him away for slandering the queen, leaving Vahan even more vulnerable to her manipulations than he already was, or that he'd believe him, that he'd confront the queen and risk her shedding the minimal kindness she pretended toward her own flesh and blood. You know, guys, I forgot to start the timer again. Hydrate and posture check again. Okay. Since I need to stop and pull up the timer anyway, that I forgot again. Oh, thank you for the gift sub link to Kyle. Oh, I almost forgot I need to drink. Yeah, kale. Okay, I think I'm completely ready this time. I have the timer now. Yes, I drank some water. I just want to protect someone the way no one wants to protect me. Until recently, fear had been what maintained his resolve. He could push Vahan away if that distance kept him safe. He could let Vahan think that he blamed him for the duty Aurelian had been forced into, for the loss of a future he would love instead of pursued. If it meant Vahan wouldn't pry into what was really going on around him. Yeah, reading time, let's go. But now he had a new fear, and this one weakened his resolve. There had been a note of something dangerous in Vahan's voice back in the Goblin Market, when he'd spoken about feeling alone. A note of something Aurelian might have picked up on sooner if he hadn't been so preoccupied with keeping tabs on every other threat to notice this. An isolated boy standing on a precipice, starved for affection, silent as ever because Vahan never asked others for the help he so freely gave. What if Vahan soon came to think, or worse, already thought, that the only way off this lonely ledge was to fall? Do you know why I brought you here, Aurelian? He shuddered. Good. Be nice to Pudge. Don't be mean to Pudge. Let him lick your leg if he wants to. Is it some sort of Lucid custom to mash one's food into a pulp before it's eaten? Aurelian looked up from the bowl of spinach salad he'd been absently grinding under his fork. Seated in the Nevada Fay Academy's too-bright cafeteria, with its arched floor-to-high pitched ceiling, windows and beechwood tables and gray bamboo flooring, he'd been so absorbed in his spiraling thoughts that he'd managed to tune out the sycophants that followed Vahan wherever he went, to the point he only just remembered they were there. He didn't dignify the question with the response. Kine, a porcelain-white and blonde-haired fae who liked to tell anyone who'd listen how close he was with the prince of their court, had also never made it secret that he greatly disliked Aurelian. The feeling was mutual. Racist, hissed the golden-haired, equally fair girl behind him. Fina, Keen's twin sister, whom Aurelian might have liked a bit more if she wasn't all around awful, and would accept the fact he was very gay and very much not into her attempts at conversion to bisexuality. Wow, okay. I am not. It was a genuine question. I'm trying to understand his culture. It's called having an open mind, Fina. An empty mind, you mean? Do you even pay attention in our sociology classes? Honestly, sometimes I wonder if you're half troll, the stupid things that come out of your mouth. Ignore him, Aurelian. My brother is being an ass. We all know the Lucid can be perfectly civilized. But don't worry, she winked at him. I like my fae with a bit of the wild left in them. Yes, gay. Great, said Aurelian. He stabbed a spinach leaf and shoved it in his mouth. Normally he took lunch elsewhere. The roof of the school was his favorite place, but also in the theater or the music rooms, and sometimes the garden, if it was quiet enough. Adapting to this all-fae school had been difficult at first. Before this, his parents had allowed him to attend a human elementary, but eventually he'd formed his own group of, well, not quite friends, but people he could actually stomach to be around. He wasn't the only Lucid Fae enrolled in the Nevada Fae Academy, despite the fact that for the most part the Lucid had chosen to keep to the forest and their own society outside court territory. He wasn't even the only student who'd come here from a different court. The folk bounced around just as readily as humans did these days, especially those like Aurelian with magic strong enough to translate both human and folk foreign languages for them. Though Aurelian had gone the extra mile to actually learn the human language, to learn the human English and Northwestern Seelie dialect that were the official languages of this court. The folk married and moved abroad, settled down in different places, studied through exchange, traveled around on work visas. It was no longer curious to come across a djinn outside their native unseelie summer territory, and the trolls of Seelie winter were everywhere you looked these days. Aurelian was far from a spectacle, but to the spoiled, elitist children of Sid Fey parents, whose entire upbringing had been under the belief that because the founding eight had been Sid as well, it was they who were by default best. Anything that wasn't them was novelty they oh so graciously permitted in their community. Guess what, bitch? Kind snapped. That makes you half troll, too. He threw a leaf of his own spinach at her, causing her to shriek as though he'd thrown a slug and dive behind Theo, the boy beside her. You like my dialect, Link? That's the weirdest compliment I've ever gotten, I think. Is this book horny? I know it's gay, but is it horny? Oh, well, I've lost where I was again. Is there a sex scene in here? Should I read that on Twitch? If so, I don't know if that's okay. Theo looked far from amused. Fina's theatrics had dropped a spoonful of butternut soup in his lap. If we have to spend any more of this break listening to the two of you argue over who inherited the one brain in your family, Theo drawled, I'm going to have my parents banish your entire line to the Arctic. Theo was all right. Of all Vahan's friends, Aurelian genuinely liked this one, however begrudgingly. He was exceedingly beautiful, even for Faye, even next to Vahan, with short tight curls of black hair, full bow lips, and high swept cheekbones flaring to sharply pointed ears. The copper warmth of his dark brown skin glowed ever so faintly, because Theodore Reynolds was also technically a prince, the eldest son of one of the 3 Seelie Summer royal families. Theo was someone Vahan could actually relate to in a way he couldn't with anyone else, and that was good. Vahan needed someone who understood the things even Aurelian never could. But it was no secret that Riadne had encouraged their friendship because of the potential benefits the joining of their 2 houses would afford her. And Aurelian wasn't a saint. He was allowed to be jealous, to envy how right Theo and Vahan looked together. Yes, the book has horns, Link. Wow. Link, why did you call Brandon a narc? That's rude. Oh, hold on. I have more people to pull up to lurk in their streams. Emotional damage. I have more people to pull up to lurk in their streams. Okay. I reset my computer and now it's very loud. You don't have to watch 2 streams at once, K-John. Oh. So you literally can't have multiple streams pulled up. Yes. Okay, K-Chan, have a good lurk. I'm totally not distracted at the moment. Oh, I forgot Pyro and K-Chan were playing today. We gotta finish reading so we can raid them. Okay, no more distractions. Where was I at? Shit. Where was I at? Okay. Try it, your nothingness, Kind sneered. Your family can't do shit without the Lesterns' permissions, right? Vahan, it's a joke we even still call you a prince, Theo. But Vahan wasn't paying attention. He'd been staring at his phone throughout the entire conversation, which explained his silence where normally he'd be quicker to Aurelian's defense when his friends got away with themselves. But it was odd behavior. Vahan was terrible at remembering to bring his phone when he went places, and he didn't spend much time on it when he did. Isn't that the Unseelie Spring capital? Said Danica, a black-haired, amber-skinned girl leaning into Vahan's space to see what he was looking at. We're only reading 1 chapter a day, usually. Why is that? That shouldn't still be in the request queue. But yes, I am a slow reader. And keep getting distracted and forgetting where I'm at. Toronto, it is. That's the aquarium. I've been there on vacation. Wow, what happened to it? Didn't you hear? Court News Network did a whole segment on it. They say there was a Reaper attack. Court News Network, a website owned and run by the magical community, and just about the only thing Vahan used his phone for. It was accessible only by way of invitation, and the identification number all folk of the courts were given at birth or registry. Seriously, a Reaper in the courts? In the capital. Kind sucked air between his teeth and scoffed. The High King's becoming a joke. Your mother should challenge him and put him out of his senile misery, Vahan. This would never happen with her in control. Vahan looked up from his phone with a glare. A challenge. Aurelian knew it was coming. They all did. It was only a matter of time. The High King's role as head of the Great Courts wasn't one that could be passed along through succession. It had to be won by a very specific set of rules, and only by certain few. Sorry, people keep tagging me in Twitch chats, and I'm getting distracted. Only Fae of royal blood could contend for the Bone Crown's possession, that gift the gods had given the founding 8 Fae when the immortals left this realm. Aurelian wasn't quite convinced the crown was a gift at all. From what he heard of, it wasn't alone in this suspicion. Only Fae of royal blood could pose a challenge, and the challenger was allowed to pick the time, within a year. They were allowed to pick the place, anywhere at all. Link, stop distracting me by tagging me in Twitch chats. They could choose to undertake the challenge themselves or appoint a champion in their stead, but there was no backing out once the terms were set, and it was a battle to the death that decided the victor. If you lost, your life was forfeited. If you won, the crown was yours. As Azurian Viridian had been a formidable Fae in his prime, had maintained his crown long enough that it had been Aurelian's entire lifetime since anyone dared try to take it from him. But his prime had clearly passed. Azurian was showing sign of more than weakness these days. Thank you, Mew. His God-given crown exacted a hefty toll, the rumor went, on any who even once dared to wear it. It had never been meant for mortal heads and was said to whisper madness in their ears. And that speculation was boosted by the fact that each high sovereign that didn't meet a quick demise grew radically unstable in exactly the same way. The folk were convinced that these whispers were the voices of the crown's previous possessors. Instead of being ferried away to the stars after their death, the soul of every high sovereign was thought to be consumed by the crown and the gods' last play of cruelty against them, forever trapping them in an object they couldn't help wanting because this hefty toll was always eclipsed by their desire for power. High King Azurian had been a legend even before he claimed the crown that amplified his magic. As young as Riadne had been at the time of the crown's changing of heads. Sorry, I got distracted in other ways. She'd still been more than a match for Azurian's age-worn father, but she needed to bide her time with where Azurian was concerned. That time was coming. Everyone sensed it. Riadne's resentment toward the Viridians had only grown stronger over the years, and the folk were waiting, watching, morbidly fascinated by the long-term game they were fully aware she played in secret. Aurelian knew once she made her move, the spectacle of this battle was going to make challenge history, but this had always been a touchy subject for Vahan. I had to pin you, Moo. I'm sorry. I just like pinning you. I had to do it. If Riadne won, he'd become High Prince. If she lost, he would lose his mother. Maybe don't say things like that in front of Tulia. Vahan's reply was cool enough that Kine ducked his chin to hide a flinch. Vahan set his phone down on the table, glancing briefly over to where Tulia Viridian, one of the High King's many nieces, however far removed, sat holding court of her own group of psychopaths? What is that word? They said that again. Psychophants? Also, in case you've forgotten, High King Azurian has done a lot of good for us. Yes, yes, Fina laughed, waving a hand speaking over her brother. We're extremely grateful for his human protection acts and those fairy public schools he had built throughout the courts. Hooray to accessible education for the masses. And healthcare, Theo added. Free public healthcare in every court has been a pretty big thing among the fairies. Now, even the fairies believe in free healthcare. Yeah, it's free because there's double the tax on us. The Fae are the ones who pay for it, who are expected to give more of our goods to the palace stores during tithe season to compensate for this. And for what? Fina sniffed. Fairies are forever going on about how unfair things are for them. They're ungrateful. We let them live in a society we built, so of course they're going to be expected to adapt to our ways. And I don't know, maybe stop buying things you can't afford if you're too poor to pay medical bills. Like get another job or something. A few of the others gathered nodded agreement with this sentiment. Some looked distinctly uncomfortable but kept quiet. Aurelian often wondered what exactly he'd done wrong in his previous lives to wind up with this one. The Fae were a privileged lot, the Cid Fae especially, and many of them took that for granted. That privilege didn't make them bad, but hells, the ones who thought it made them better. Pyro, go back to your stream. Vahan, outraged, painting him blue in the face despite his glamour, opened his mouth and was about to launch into what Aurelian knew was sure to be an impressive tirade on his opinion of Fina's spectacular ignorance. He'd never been known to hold back any other time she showed it, but Theo held up his hand. Please, Your Highness, allow me. He turned to Fina. Fina, your mother should have swallowed you. Shit. What's 3 plus 2? It's 5, Link. 5. Now I forgot where I was again. Oh, there it is. This comment opened the floor to several minutes of whoppish remarks, threats, and further heated argument. Aurelian used it as a cover to choke back a laugh. Okay, Vahan said a few moments later to wrangle in the conversation before their break was over. Fina said something inappropriate. It's been addressed. Let's let it go. There was actually something I wanted to ask you all before we break off for class. A reaper could have plowed through the cafeteria wall and no one would stir for how immediate and fixed the entire table's attention had turned on Vahan. No doubt they thought he was about to ask them something pertaining to the solstice, but here it was at last. The reason Aurelian had subjected himself to this lunchtime torture to begin with. Vahan usually had others to watch over his safety during the lunch hour, the stern-faced palace guard by the cafeteria door being only one of them. Aurelian's presence wasn't normally necessary, but Iron Teeth will show you the way, but only once the stars align will you receive the answers you seek. No amount of digging had clarified what Lydia the Oracle had meant by this riddle. Once the stars align might have been an instruction as simple as only being able to find this mysterious facility she'd mentioned at night when stars were visible in the sky. Iron Teeth, though, they were completely stumped on that. It had been Vahan's idea to ask his peers their opinion. Aurelian had to admit it wasn't the worst plan he'd ever come up with, and he was just as interested in solving this riddle, even if he pretended not to care. As painful as it was to listen to this particular collection of fey gossip and argue and complain about petty things, they were still teenagers. They knew a lot of things adults wrote off as unworthy of their time. So Aurelian and I went to the Goblin Market the other day. Oh my gods, did you really? How was it? I'm so jealous. Did you buy anything? Oh please, you have to come with me when I mature. Vahan waited out the comments far from graciously than Aurelian felt they deserved. It was interesting. We didn't have much time to look around, though. I was there for a different reason. Was it for the solstice? My family sent in our RSVP as soon as we got our invitation. Vahan, you'll save a dance for me, won't you? Tell me you at least stopped at the honey tree. They have these cakes there. Gods, they're sin. My mother brings them back for us every time she goes. No offense, Aurelian. I know your parents are. Would you let him speak? Aurelian snapped. It didn't matter to him where any of them shopped or that most of them... I have mucus in my throat. When did I stop? It didn't matter to him where any of them shopped or that most of them pretended to adore the Queen's selection. His parents, for their royal... that word again. Patisseries? But whispered among themselves how scandalous it was that she hadn't bestowed that honor upon talent from her own court. Their break was almost over. Vahan was far too nice to people who were too happy to walk all over him. He needed to hurry this along. The prince ducked his head, just enough to hide a grin so brief and fleeting it could easily have been Aurelian's imagination that it had been there at all. Then to the table he said, it wasn't anything exciting, but I was looking for something, and someone told me I'd be able to find it if I followed Iron Teeth. I have no idea what that means, though, and was hoping one of you might. Ah, to prove oneself useful to the crown prince in a time when everyone's thoughts were on marriage. If only Vahan applied a little more of the manipulation he learned from his mother to other areas of his life, Aurelian wouldn't have to worry so much about him. This might work better, Your Highness, if instead of dancing around the truth, you told us exactly what you want to know. Aurelian studied Theo. Theo studied Vahan. Theo hadn't spoken once once since Vahan had called for their attention. He had sat and listened, no doubt reading many things between scant lines, clever as always, the perfect balance, really, to Vahan's naivety. No one said a word while they waited for Vahan's response. All right, Vahan folded his hands on the table and sat a little straighter. Rumor has it there's someone out in the desert trading gold for humans. Does anyone know anything about that? Again, no word. The gathered Fae looked to one another and shook their heads. Come on, nothing at all? I'll be indebted to you, of course, if you could point me in the right direction. I'd really like to find where this is. The look of longing on Kyne's face and several others made Aurelian itch to tell Vahan to retract such an offer. Iron teeth, huh? Said Karsten Odell, a burly boy who was more muscle than brains. With sandy blonde hair, lightly tanned skin, and a resting expression that had earned him the nickname Grim. If Aurelian recalled correctly, his highly decorated father served under the Seelie Summer faction of the Falchian. Grime didn't speak all that often, only slightly more than Aurelian did. It was curious, but so was the look he shared with the readier, gaunt boy beside him, Jason. Yes, Vahan perked a little more to attention. The rest of the table did too. It was Jason who responded, nervous and extremely hesitant to do so. You're not going to tell my parents where you heard this, are you? I swear to you, I will not. Jason shook his head. Tell my parents. You have to say all of it. A proper promise, or I'm not saying a word. I, Vahan Solil Lestern, will in no way betray to your parents how I've come by the information you have to trade. And you'll owe me a favor. Vahan nodded. Whatever is in my power to grant, of equal weight to what you tell me, if it's what I'm after. Biting his lip, Jason reached into his pocket. Looking around to make sure the only eyes on him were the ones at this table, he leaned a bit closer and slapped something down on its surface. A packet filled with ashen powder. Aurelian recognized it instantly. Is that fairy dust? Yo, it's fairy dust, guys. I wonder if they're talking about the drug or if they're talking about the actual fairy dust. Fina asked, leaning in for a closer look. It was. Aurelian had tried it once in a fit of rebellion. He tried a number of things, but fairy dust had been the worst by far. A psychedelic that started out a lot like the mixture of DMT and ecstasy. He'd also tried until it warped into a nightmarish horror and triggered all manner of negative effects like nausea, panic attacks, extreme paranoia, aggression, profound terror, and suicidal ideation. It was also extremely addictive and cheap, and its high was so indescribably wonderful once the body adjusted to the poison and those side effects lessened to almost nothing. Yeah, there's fairies in the book, Link. Where have you been? The Falchian had its hands full with the stuff, more of late than usual. That Jason had this on him, at the academy no less, was an incredibly risky move. But there, a symbol on the packet, the seller's signature, an open set of teeth, drawn in black, the incisors of which gleamed iron silver. Jason, said Vahan, no louder than a whisper. He slid the packet closer to the tip of his finger, and Aurelian had to restrain himself from physically recoiling. I think we have a deal. Oh, I can't turn the page. Okay, we only read for like 23 minutes, but that was the end of the chapter. I don't know, I was supposed to read 2 chapters today since I didn't read yesterday. But we'll just do that tomorrow, because I want to watch Kei-chan and Pyro. Yeah, that was chapter 10. But I forgot Kei-chan and Pyro were playing again today. I should have streamed a little earlier since I got home from work earlier. Plus there's gonna be an ad in like 5 minutes anyway. Yeah, they've been playing racing. Yeah, I still got out later than I was supposed to. I was supposed to be out at 5. Didn't get out until almost 6. Oh, we have a raid message now. I can't type. There we go. There's the raid message. I guess I need to pull up Pyro stream before we raid. Chica brings the nuggies. Hi, Nopty. You have a good night as well. Okay, we're raiding in like 5 seconds. Bye.